Right, I'm going to talk about the image trace option as well as the how to select colors that are all the same so that you can change them. So here's kind of a little before and after using image trace the photo versus the image trace version of the dog. Obviously, you lose a lot of detail, but it, doesn't pixelate. It stays. And this is one of the lower details. There is the high fidelity photo, which would have a little more detail. Same thing with this. We've got this light bulb, and then we've got the vectorized. So now it's a vector, no pixels, but it does lose detail. And then taking something like this key, and you can turn things into either silhouettes or you can have them colors and then recolor it yourself. So I'm going to go over some of those. So first of all, let's focus on something that is a photo that maybe you want it to stay looking like a photo. So whenever you click on one thing, you should see this option for image trace. And there's a little drop down here and it has these options. Another thing that will give you more detail is to go to the window menu and find image trace there so that you actually open the image trace panel. So then you have your presets. So if I do high fidelity photo, takes a little time, even more depending on how long it is. So a lot of the detail is still there, but obviously it is no longer a photo. And you can switch that to all of these many different options. Some of them just don't seem to work. Like I've used line art. It rarely has good results. There must be certain specific things it's meant for that I have not discovered. You can do something more basic like 3 colors, or you can type them in yourself. So if I was like, let's try 15 colors. A little more detail, but not as much. So you can adjust this however you want, but like I'll leave it on high fidelity photo. Almost, but not quite, a picture. So similar thing with the light bulb. Obviously, if it's got fewer details, it's going to be harder to tell. So obviously this is no longer the photograph, but it still looks pretty good. And of course I have this ability to resize it. If I zoom in, there's nothing showing. Something to keep in mind, so if I choose something a little lower, say 3 colors, yeah, actually that might be a little too low, lose too much. I'll do 6. Now, there's the background poking over here, and then of course it's this, and it's got this square background. So once you've turned something into a vector, it might have pieces that you want to get rid of. So once you've used image trace, now in that same area is a button called expand. You can also find it in the object menu. So when you expand it, it gives you, to expand both the object and the fill, which I want to do. Now it's been broken up into these separate paths. If you use the selection tool, it just selects the whole thing. But if you use the direct selection tool, you can click on pieces and, for example, on the background, and I just press delete. And now that's gone. And then now, if I wanted to maybe give a slightly different color cast to this, I could come up and change it, maybe make it a yellow, or come over to my color guide and choose maybe a more faint yellow. Same thing for back here to kind of, give it a different look. But that doesn't necessarily look great. So with that, I'll show you this next technique, which is once you've image traced something. Now, I love using high fidelity photo on things that are very simple, like this key. You can tell that the key is not like the original, but it's still, because it didn't have a lot of detail to begin with, it still looks pretty good. But recoloring something with as many colors as this has would be quite the task. So I'm going to go up to the window menu and image trace, it's right here. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 6 colors. Now you have to remember the background counts as a color, so actually what I've got is 5 colors. Then I will choose to expand it, and I'm going to delete that background because typically speaking you don't want that. You want to be able to add things. I'll close out of this. And now comes the time where I'm going to start changing these colors. Now you don't have to select every single piece individually. Even though this has been simplified as far as the colors, that would still be a bit time consuming and easy to make mistakes. So if you decide what color you want, I'm going to use maybe I'll try to make it kind of have that copper sort of a look. So I'm going to try to go for maybe the darker side of copper, and then I'll use my color guide here. I like monochromatic too, that's a good one. And I can click on this little save color to swatch group so that it's over here. So I'm going to click the darkest color first. And if you go up to the select menu and you choose same, and you can see there's a lot of different options here. I'm just interested in the fill color. So it selects everything that is that dark color. So I'll choose my darkest color here. And then kind of keep going. Look for the darkest color. Next darkest, select. Same, fill color. And then just switch it. And you just keep doing that. Select, same, fill color. Until you have replaced all of the original colors. So obviously you can see how you could certainly do this with something that was more complicated. It would just take you a lot of time, but it's doable for sure. And the last one, select same fill color. And there we go. So you kind of zoom back, and obviously it's not realistic looking, but it saved me a lot of time. The only thing, of course, to be careful with is copyright, because this is somebody else's work. Got to make sure you're getting things in public domain or not using it for money. All right, thanks for watching.